guys are having a good time, but your hairdos, look at you guys, including me. Okay, this is Hibiscus Island. If you look at the tip of Hibiscus Island right here, the 3-story white mansion with the dome on top, that belongs to a guy from Puerto Rico that likes living la vida loca. You know who that is?
Ricky!
Ricky! Really cool stuff. That dome that you see there on the top is actually a jacuzzi. It's a really big jacuzzi. It lights up at nighttime. It looks like little stars. It changes colors. We've seen it on a couple of times. Our sunset tour is really cool, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday we had one of the most beautiful sunsets I've seen yet. But the sunset tour is at 6:30. Really good tour. And right next door, take it, believe it or not, a 5'2" beauty from Baywatch, and it's not Pamela Anderson because she's 5'8". Look at the boat and tell me who it is. Carmen Electra. You see how she named her boat Electra? She must be home because her boat is there. She's always out there, either anchored off Miami Beach or out in the Bahamas. But that is Carmen Electra's house from Baywatch. We got Palm Island right next door to Hibiscus Island. These are all connected by bridges to MacArthur Causeway that takes you from downtown Miami into Miami Beach. All these islands were man-made. Before the early 1900s, this is all just open water. The causeway wasn't there. Port of Miami wasn't there. When they discovered Miami and it was being constructed, they dug up the channel for the big ships to come in and out of Miami, bringing in building supplies. They got all that sand and rock with a big plan to make islands and sell property. They did and became very wealthy with that. That was a couple of people, Julio, Henry Flagler, Carl Fisher, to name a few, the big money people. Straight in front of us, we got Star Island, the star attraction of the tour. That's where most of our stars live or lived. Really interesting feature we got here. So if you look at this corner property right here with all those identical palm trees, that's a 5-acre property. It covers almost a quarter of the island. A guy that purchased this property paid $25 million just for the land alone. A couple of trees and an abandoned house that was in a corner that used to belong to Leona Helmsley. The mansion took 5 years to construct, $55 million. If you look just beyond the tennis courts over here in the palm trees in the back corner over there, you'll see a solar paneled roof white building. That's a 2-story, 2,500 square foot greenhouse. Don't ask me what he grows in there, but I am a little suspicious. Where does he get all this money from? But it just so happens, with all joking aside, he happens to be one of the biggest drug dealers in the United States. Yeah. She said it with a big smile. He created Viagra. He's a pharmaceutical drug dealer. With his corporation IVEX, they created a little blue pill that sends smiles across the world. She said Viagra with a big smile. If you look closely, there's a pool right here, and the pool has a little waterfall. I personally nicknamed that waterfall Viagra Falls. I love that one. They're a very nice family. Dr. Philip Frost and his wife Patricia Frost, they actually donated $40 million towards the construction of the Miami Museum, which they were going to call it Miami Museum. With their huge donation, they're going to call it Patricia and Philip Frost Museum. Critics are calling it to be one of the most beautiful museums in the United States yet, due to open in 2015. I can't wait. And this beautiful mansion here was used in quite a few movies. One of the more famous is a movie called Guys and Dolls with Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando. That's a 1950s classic, so it's quite many years ago. Many changes have been made. The gentleman has black tie extravagant parties from the day into the night. His name is Charles Parker, and he's the CEO and founder of the Parker Company. Pretty cool stuff. That all too familiar music of the Addams Family. The Addams Family, the original Addams Family, was filmed at this mansion. This mansion was built in 1905, the first one built amongst all these islands, 1905. The guy that built the railroad tracks on the east coast of Florida, he helped pretty much Miami be what it is today. He built the mansion, and it's known to be haunted. That's why it's abandoned today. Everyone remembers Don Johnson from Miami Vice, another person that helped Miami grow to be what it is today. Don Johnson purchased his mansion in the early 80s for $25 million off of guess who? The late great Elizabeth Taylor. Back in the 60s when Elizabeth Taylor was making lots of money, the first female to make over $1 million in the movie industry, and back then was a lot of money. She had this mansion custom built for her at a very small price of $6 million. Everyone knows Shaquille O'Neal, number 32, when he was with the Miami Heat. They actually use, he's a representative for Buick nowadays, and before he moved, they made a bunch of commercials at the front of this mansion. It's owned by Naomi Campbell today. He sold it to Naomi Campbell. She completely remodeled the mansion to her taste with all these exotic palms and trees. You can hardly see the mansion now, but if you can get to see it, you can see 12-foot tall doorways that were custom built just for Shaquille O'Neal. The next mansion is also very interesting, like all these other mansions. This one was used in the movies, the late 70s and early 80s, Cocoon 1 and 2. If you remember those eggs in the pool, the aliens and the people with all the energy. This mansion is for rent also. If you're interested, it's only $12,000 a day, 4-night minimum, and it does include Wi-Fi. You can't lose with that deal. This cream-colored mansion belonged to Rocky Rambo, Sylvester Stallone. He owned it for only a couple of years. He added a shocking bright blue color and then sold it to a famous shoe designer named Donald Pliner, and he completely painted it a normal color. This really modern-looking mansion right here was an empty lot 2 years ago. Jennifer Lopez purchased it. She sent the mansion to be custom built, and now she's selling it as an investment. That's Jennifer Lopez. The founder of Wendy's Hamburgers, everybody remembers him, the creator of the Square Burger. He gave this mansion to his daughter for having above average GPA in high school. Right when she turned 18, he gave her the mansion, and now she's selling it herself. One of my favorite actors, Will Smith, the rapper, the actor, he's owned this mansion for over 20 years, and this is where he chose to film the famous video, Welcome to Miami, Bienvenidos a Miami. He's such a busy guy, we hardly see him. And this mansion is where they filmed all the episodes of the Brady Bunch, and the interior of the mansion was used for the Brady Bunch episodes. This is one of the second largest property on the island. It was purchased about 3 years ago by Angelina, Jolie, and Brad Pitt. We do not know why they put the fence down the middle. Stay tuned to Thriller. This is another crazy story, Madonna the Material Girl. She owned this mansion for not even 2 years. You know how she is. She was having crazy parties. The neighbors complained. She was, I'm out of here. She sold it to Shusha, the Brazilian talk show host. The famous Gloria and Emilio Estafan, they pretty much hold the key to the city. If you look closely, it's two mansions. The one on the right side is a recording studio by Sony Sound with guest quarters and gymnasium. They still actively produce music. They reside on the house on the left, and they also got a great restaurant right next to Bayside. I'll point it out to you when we get closer. And in the movie Bad Boys 2, I'm sure that almost everybody saw that movie. At the end of the movie, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are floating in the pool. The dog breaks the pool and they fall into the water that was filmed here. They actually planted huge trees for that scene, put it back to its original state. It was owned by Jack Iglesias from the Honeymooners in the 1950s, and it still is an Iglesias family. They don't even live inside. They constantly rent it for weddings, videos, and exclusively Victoria's Secret's catalog and Playboy magazine at $12,500 a day. This gentleman right here got it right away. Scarface, say hello to my little friend. It looks like they're actually getting ready to film some kind of other movie. You can see the tent and all that stuff here. This mansion was owned by Julio Iglesias when they filmed Scarface, and it's the third oldest mansion on the island. It's a famous landmark. It's presently owned by a celebrity couple from Housewives, and they wanted to knock it down. They took them to court, and now they can't. Right next door, Rosie O'Donnell, the comedian, the actress. It's very difficult to see her mansion because it's surrounded by all those trees and bushes, but that is Rosie O'Donnell, the comedian, the actress, best friends with Donald Trump, actually. Okay, you guys, what we're going to do is this is our first trip of the day. We're going to go see if it's safe to go out in the ocean. You can see this really brisk breeze that we have. If it's too big, we can't go out. But just remember, watch your cameras and your phones. We're going to go check it out, so make sure your stuff doesn't get away. Thank you. right here. It's pretty rough. We can't make it up there because it's not safe. So we're gonna just turn around and we're gonna go through the Biscayne Bay area. Over here to your left, this is Fisher Island, a very exclusive private island. And we got the southernmost tip of the South Beach right here to the right, and that little two-story little building right there, that's Smith & Wollensky, a famous steak and seafood restaurant. right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very popular area. We got the Rickenbacker Causeway, this bridge right here, out of downtown Miami. You get the Brickell Avenue. It brings you to the first island here. This is Virginia Key. That yellow building right there is a famous steak and seafood restaurant. That's Rusty Pelican. They actually filmed parts of Caddyshack in the back of this building right there. And then on the other side, you got the Miami Aquarium if you want to see dolphins and orca. It's been there since the 1950s. Great place to visit. That's the Miami Seaquarium. And if you look at that really cool looking little roof over there, that's the Miami Marine Stadium. Back in the 1950s, they used to have boat races here. They're actually going to refurbish the building and then come back and then have boat races again in the near future. Can't wait to see that. And then you cross the next bridge. It takes you to Key Biscayne. Hotels, shopping, dining, beautiful white sandy beaches. At the end of Key Biscayne, they have the Billbag State Park. Luckily, the government's back in operation, so it's reopened. When you go to the end of that, you go up this. You take a tour of the lighthouse. You go to the top, and you see Biscayne Bay. You see a very historic area where back in the 1940s they built houses on stilts. In the 1940s, they built over 45 of them, and now to this day, there's only 5 that are habitable, which are still propped up, and you can see them. Really cool to see off of that lighthouse. Go check it out if you get a chance. It's Billbag State Park. Photos of the Miami skyline. They actually use postcards pretty much sold throughout the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was your last free official hairdo tour. Now you're gonna have to go to your nearest salon. We're actually heading straight towards, we're not going there, but the direction we're at right now is the Miami River, which goes pretty much through the state of Florida. That's pretty much why Miami is where it is, because it was settled all along the banks that the Costa Indians way back in the days. Came the Europeans, and then all of a sudden here we are, beautiful Miami. To your left is where you see these big yellow condominiums here. That's Brickell Key. You can get there by bridge. It holds the only 5-star, 5-diamond hotel in South Florida, which is the Mandarin Oriental. It's on the south side. If you want to get pampered, that is the place. Oh, that's where you guys are staying. See, they should know. Beautiful pool that they have is on the south side of the island. Great view of South Biscayne Bay. Now, if you look at all these buildings, one of them is a little antique looking. The yellow building that you see in the distance there, that's actually one of the first big structures in downtown Miami back in the early 1900s when Miami was born. Everything was being constructed, the channels were being dug out, they were building the islands that were too famous. They needed a newspaper, and it was the Miami News. So it went on from there during the Great Depression. It was abandoned for many years. They were actually thinking about knocking it down. Some investors came and saw it was structurally stable. So they refurbished the building. Then came the Mario Bolif when the Cubans were fleeing Cuba. They actually made a small immigration office on the first floor. Families waited 3 and 4 days to be able to get their documents to live and work in the United States. And with all that happening, they decided to name it the Freedom Tower. The Freedom Tower has a museum in it. I can't tell you right now if it's open or not because they closed it for a couple of months for some refurbishing that they were doing. They're going to open part of Miami-Dade in the building also, so you might want to check it out. The museum is open. It's very nice with a bunch of Cuban displays of art and different things from Cuba. Really nice stuff to check out. A place I'd like to recommend people to eat is this Hard Rock Cafe. Actually, it's been one of the longest standing restaurants in the Bayside area. They have another one up in Hollywood Casino.
And with the guitar.
You know what happened with the guitar? It had a huge guitar, 3,000 pounds, a gigantic guitar, and a hurricane was coming through South Florida. And a hurricane was blasting through, so everybody gets their yachts, and they put them in different places. One of our celebrity friends brought his yacht into the marina here, docked it right next to Hard Rock Cafe. The storm blew through. Who would know? It knocked the guitar down and almost cut his yacht in half when it fell. Pretty crazy stuff, but they never popped any new one. I'm sure it's very expensive. But at the Hard Rock Cafe, I have a friend that works there. Her name is Marquise. She's a great bartender. She makes delicious smoothies, out of this world smoothies, any kind of cocktail you'd like. And if you're having problems with the menu, because they do have an extensive menu, she'll help you out with choosing something. They have great cheeseburgers. I love the double cheeseburger. It's awesome. Another pretty cool thing about Miami's going really fast. The Port of Miami is getting a huge facelift on the works as we speak. See these big trucks? They're always coming in through this bridge for the taking on support to go overseas. And what happened is too many condominiums popping up. Everybody's complaining about all the traffic and congestion. So what they did is they made a tunnel. They just finished a meeting from both sides. The tunnel's completed, but not completed to drive through from the MacArthur Causeway underneath the ship channel. The ship channel averages 50 feet depth, and the tunnel goes right underneath the ship channel, so that's going to be pretty cool for all the customers.